Welcome one, welcome all, welcome to the shit show. This is a story time redeemed by Sarza, the old woman that crossed the road. Alright, we ended off as Sarzak took notice of the girl who came in from outer space. Um, Her name is Sarah Lightbringer, and just a general description of what happened last time is they made it to a town that was being ransacked by humans, and of course this was a demon town, and basically stopped the attack on both ends and did trying their best to actually consider all the variables and try to de-escalate the situation, and even gave a non-violent way for the raiders to pay back the town itself with Lunar's excellent speaking skills and her high persuasion, more or less high charm, that allows her to, it's an ability that allows not to control somebody but to get to the meat of things, like it bypasses previous hatreds and allows the person to actually hear the words she's saying without filter, through their own hate, through their own griefs, through their own, which allows people to understand a lot more. It's an ability that she's always had but never contributed to anything because she's always been kind of out there and always just fighting or training. Well, anyway, Sarah walks through the door, and Sarzak immediately recognizes it and yells out, "Sarah Lightbringer? What the fuck are you doing in this planet?" Sarah looks over there and is like, "Sarzak? What the fuck? Why are you here? Why are you here on this undeveloped planet? Of all things." I mean, I can say the exact same thing. Underdeveloped. Um, Zay. Yeah. Zay said. "What do you mean underdeveloped?" "Oh, never mind. I generally understand what you're meaning." God, I hate your outsider terms. They get on my nerves. But anyway, the Snarsex here is like, if you really understood the technology basis from other worlds, you'd cry. Sarah said, "Ain't that the truth?" But anyway, why are you here, Sarzak? This is an undeveloped world. I am not messing with any equilibrium or anything like that. I'm using what they have here on this planet to live. Nothing more, nothing. So, anyway, why are you here? I'm actually here to check out a disturbance that's been happening only on this world, that one of our training apparatuses." "What?" Sarzak says, cutting her off in the process with a very, "Wait, don't tell me. You know how dangerous that fucking shit is. Why in the world would you use that technology? Whoa, 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 whoa. With Sarzak about to grab his sword. She's like, whoa, hold on. It is not the same as what you're thinking that it is. It is not. Yes, it is based off the technology of the old empire, but it is not the technology of the old empire. And it's just roughly, loosely based. The sensor is allowed to actually break through their potential, and they find the highest potential person on each planet that we send this to, and each one of these planets have that we've been sending all these to has had a cropped of evil energy that's actually come from the remnants of the evil empire. The evil empire? Really? That was way beyond evil what those. Anyway, the remnants of the empire is coming on different worlds, gathering up. What exactly in this place? I don't know. I am just here to find out what happened to the that thing, and to either retrieve it, find out what's going on with it, or we got to figure out something, because we cannot have it fall into the wrong hands. And it does reconnect from time to time. Alright, explain to me how this one is different from the ones that we had to fight throughout the Empire's days. Making these people think that they're heroes, and then all of a sudden they become their greatest enemies, not being able to think a single thought for themselves. At this time, when after he said that, his Lunar kind of got like, what? It's not like that anymore, Sarzak. We've took all ability to be able to distract the personality from each person. Yes, there is a thing in there that allows to help make decisions, but all it does is tell the person, hey, this decision that you're making may not be the greatest, or you need to think of all outcomes, or something to that prevail. That's the reason why one that's malfunction, we need to find it, retrieve it, and find out why it did. At this time, Lunar speaks up. That's kind of funny that you've said it that way. What do you mean? Looks over at Sarzak. Sarzak is like, basically the reason why the technology was taken over by another entity through a experiment that basically combined the genes of a dragon, human, a royal human at that, and you know more about what that means than anybody, and an elf, a half-elf royal human, and a dragon. And not just the normal dragon class either. The ruling elite type dragon class. You know, the ones that stay in the shadows and don't want to deal with ruling anymore, so they let everybody do what they please, and started the whole that kind of started the whole empire mess to begin with. Basically, what happened from her testimonies and what I know of the technology, and the only reason why I haven't done anything, even if I could or not, is she was right in the middle of cultivating. Yes, cultivating. Her human half was allowing herself to cultivate the magics and the energy of this world pulled together. One of the reasons why she's so powerful. And it hit her right in the middle of a breakthrough. A 1 in 1 trillion to the trillionth power chance of that ever happening happened. How? What? And then on top of that, her dormant genes from her father and mother's side all started combining together instead of the normal process. The cultivation spread throughout her entire body and got rid of all the what breaking through in mortal cultivation actually looks like, restructuring her bones and everything, but also reawakening the genes that was inside her. And then the machine basically used its abilities to be able to actually fix that, to be the conduit to keep her body from, you know, blowing up, and allowing her body to actually absorb all this stuff without, you know, anything bad actually happening. And the dragon side of her ended up being overlaid onto the device, which has all the knowledge of all the known universes, allowing her to learn stuff even quicker than she normally would, because she is also a super genius. Then her mouth like dropped to the floor. I'm a what? Can you say that again? Shut up, Lunar. I'm explaining the situation. Don't make this awkward. And then he got back to it after Lunar started snickering. Then, and when it was all settled, it comes online for a few minutes just to check on different updates and processes, and then shuts off, from my understanding. And yes, I did scan it beforehand. It is part, and I did see a lot of the differences in design, which is another thing that made me not want to destroy it. Like I could anyway with her abilities. He said in a very low voice where nobody but Sarah heard. It's like, how in the world did she get such a genie and a pool to begin with for something like that to actually happen? Like, I'm sitting right here, don't you? Lunar pointed over. He's like, and then Sarah's face started blushing. It's like, and she thought, and it's like, yeah, like I could not notice the very beautiful woman in the room. And then she shuts up for a second. It's like, yes, I know very much so that you are here, she says with a smile, and then continues. The likelihood of that happening, yes, I know. her luck has always been outstanding to begin with, which is one of the reasons why she was such an capable warrior and able to reach the immortal stage of cultivation with her knowing literally just the bare bone basics. How is that even? Yeah. And how do you know I was all this? Lunar asked. Do you really not think I would not keep at least a little bit of an eye on you after I left? Just because I left because of BS doesn't mean I'm going to, I didn't hate you. I left you for a reason. And I wanted to still make sure you're safe, even though if I told you that at the time, you would have probably murdered me 20 times. And making it last years upon each time you murdered me. Fair. But who is tipping you off? No one. I had an undead bird in the general vicinity that allowed me to keep an eye on you. And just as the undead bird died, and I was about to just let you be for one, you end up walking right into my door, smashing it down, and then proceed to murder me. You didn't die this time. Look. She started giggling. Sarah just slaps her face. She was like, wait, you know about this, right? Yes. That's why his nickname is Sarzak, the vampire lord here. Will you stop saying that? That is so freaking embarrassing. Like, vampire lord? Sarah just started laughing up a storm. Like, I can't believe people are calling you a vampire lord. The former vampire slayer is now a vampire lord. Why would you mention that? Everybody started laughing. And then Lunar then speaks up, actually looking serious for once. Is like, alright, as you mentioned about all this, wasn't there something about what you're wanting to say? There's a remnant of the old empire from your guys' words that's here in this planet, and the whole purpose of you sending out, that's called this probe. My words, not anybody else's, to find the ties, and then this probe attaches to the person and then allows them to reach their full potential while using the knowledge that you have gathered over the years as the system output. Am I correct on that? And then in our head, it's like, congratulations, you have figured out the mysteries of the universe. Here's you a candy. The little poop emoji. She's like, she just slaps her head. Like, you're able to communicate with it? Like, regular. Yes, it's kind of in my head. Well, not really in my head. It's kind of a part of me. When I was talking to Sarzak about everything, it started developing the personality that my dragon would have, borrowing bits and bits to learn how to grow, and is slowly but steadily finding its own way. It does not control me in any form. It does have suggestions and stuff, a lot like you said, but it can talk back and actually make fun of me like nobody's business, which irritating to say the least. It's like fine, and then in the corner of fine, fine. If you ask her this one question, I will stop making fun of you so much. You know, when you make fun of me, she is thinking this in her head too. You know, when you kind of make fun of me, you're just making fun of yourself too, because you're just as much part of me as everything else. Fine. And then, but what did you want me to ask them? She was like, or the thing in her head. And then for a second she stopped. I'm actually gonna name you Draco. Draco. No, Draco. Since you're part dragon and technology, Draco. Anyway, so, and by the way, when I'm talking about all this, I'm talking about all of it like it's in talking an inner monologue in her head, talking to everything. Alright. Well, like, alright, let me know what you want. And she told, Lunar told Sarah, the system, which I have now named Draco, since it already has a personality, and Drake and technology, Draco technology, made sense to me at the time. But Draco was wondering if you had a rookie officer probe unit by any chance, would you? That it will allow to further function stuff where other people can understand what I'm trying to say, along with everything else. Among being able to be used as a little bit of a scout unit and bring in overworld combat view to allow for the best decisions in battle. I don't have a rookie pro machine, no. But here, try this one. And she gets into this little pocket of hers, opens it up, and then a pocket that looks less, barely big enough for her hand to actually reach into. Reaches in, grabs the item, pulls it out. Dr. Zay and Luna is like, you guys use magic too? Looks over and is like, what? No. This is a small pocket dimension. It's just bigger on the inside. Bigger on the inside. Anyway, they both look. We have something similar to that here on here. It's basically a spell that allows us to go through a pocket space that allows us to store items. And I wonder how different and how similar each thing is, and what the processes that actually govern both things. And if she started speaking a little bit more, it's like, okay, you're too smart for your own good, girl. Like, huh? You're too young to start thinking like that. By the time you get older, your brain would be mushed trying to figure out all the technicalities of the universe. She isn't young. I am over 200 years old. That is far from being young. Looks over at like, how are you over 200 and you look like you're cultivator? Sarsek said in the background. He's like, oh, okay. If it made me look at you and not actually start fully cultivating. You know as well as I do that would be a bad idea. I know. I mean, shit, you're already about 2,000 years old as it is, and you're still not going to be dying anytime soon from old age. Only because of that stupid experiment. I know. But we'll talk about all that later. So, what about the Empire is actually coming here, and what makes you think the Empire is actually here? Because that would actually make a lot of sense with the intel that we've been getting with a secretive group that wants to start a war between the human and demon races that will more than likely cover everybody before it's all said and done. The Empire would just straight up have conquered this world by now if they had an inkling of what they had. They're, from our intel, the remnants of the Empire could be anything from people that they were just using to people that truly didn't understand what the Empire was to straight up the underworld beings that actually left before the last battle. There's been small uprisings of worlds that we couldn't actually get into, but because of this technology, we've been able to start fighting back and actually trying to spread peace throughout the galaxy. Not exactly easy when you do it the right way. You know, the path of good intentions and all. I mean, at one time, the Empire was actually very, very good, but because of greed and stuff, it started getting more and more corrupted, turning it into the hellscape that it was to be a part of the Empire. Trust me, I know that better than anyone, Sarzak said with a scowl on his face. Like, I know you know that. You also know more firsthand how bad that they can manipulate a population. But, you know, anyway, it's not. So, are you. What. Since you know what's going on, as she said that, she slapped um, the glove thing around Luna's wrist, that once she snapped it on there, the glove thing started coming out and covering up her hands and then turning almost into invisible. Luna's eyes went big and then she closed them and touched it very slightly, putting her magical signature within the device itself. Doing this without anybody even asking, or without even the system inside understanding what she was doing at first, until when the system came up and Draco mainly says, updating processes, host, host beware, updating processes, and then as she poured her magic in there, the processes went from ticking down after one tick after every few minutes to lightning speed. Warning host adding magic into the 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 as soon as it said that, update complete, entering host, but and then it just stopped for a second. It the little icon that was up at the corner of her eye just kind of vanished for a second. The glove that she had on started glowing, which made Sarah's eyes go very wide for a second and then disappeared completely under her own gaze. Sarah stepping back for a second, getting lightheaded, and then starts using a self-generation spell that she knows to generate what's going on, and simultaneously cultivating just a little bit, bringing everything into a even weirder aspect. That, and then the next thing you hear is a big pow. And then everybody got blinded by a light for a second, and then as everybody's eyes dilated again and saw Sarah, basically she had a full set of armor on that she then retracted back into two gauntlets that was on both of her arms. And then when that happened, when the gauntlets came back, it just basically looked like two major gauntlets, and this little ball separated. That if you ever played Destiny, it started looking a lot more like a Destiny ball than anything. And then a Destiny ghost. But basically, it started calculating, and then back in her vision, updated complete. Draco, level 1, ghost, dragon spirit, or ghost dragon spirit. And then she clicked on it in her head, pulled down the stats, and basically, instead of stats, it just gave statistics and stuff, or not statistics. It looked more like a what it can do and what it can't do, or what it can do type list. After you click down on the list, Draco, Dragon Spirit Ghost. The Dragon Spirit Ghost Draco is now an evolved unit from between magic and technology that greatly enhances the user's strength when need be, giving the user the ability to scan the area to update and compile information on objects, which is basically a scan object thing to where it lets the person know what it is, what it isn't, if it's beyond their capability, what it can be used for, down to the very molecules of the set item. Also understanding magical language within it too, to even give even a bigger effect, which should be impossible. But abilities, and then it lists that first ability there. Ability 2, sense greater in senses. With this ghost being able to basically take a sense of the area that allows hosts to even see a higher view to be able to break for tactical use and to actually figure out ways to create strategies and to find out what's coming or not. Lock-on targeting blaster system. Look at that. Uses host magic. Uses one form of host pure magic to allow to use a blaster type shot that combines technology and mastic as a way for self-defense for certain situations. User must activate this for Draco to be able to use this without her direct saying the trigger word fire within the same context of what is needed for fighting. Shields. Magic shield. A magical technology ray shield pops up, allowing it to cover different areas of different designs to be able to fight more effectively throughout being able to defend shots which normally would be impossible to defend, hence being able to detect magical and energy-based weapons, even changes in velocities and stuff in the air to even defend against arrows, bullets, missiles, etc., etc. Okay, missile. Never mind. I don't need to know that before it actually starts explaining what a missile is. Third ability, being able to talk to your fellow companions and even link them to a certain extent with communication, with also with information that they need to best complete different strategies and to relay information back and forth between even video from their own eyes to etc., etc., giving them a temporary system allowing them to best compensate them within the contents of the party, even to the point of healing, using the user's ability to heal them from a good distance away. Drawback of this ability is it only works up to a certain amount of miles away from that person, which is over 500 miles in each direction of the set person. So, and walls or anti-magic arrays or anything like that has no effect on this particular ability or anything that comes from me to a certain extent. And then the final thing is Draco's personality. Draco, because it's a combination between magic, technology, and a dragon personality, which is the reason why we're started calling itself a ghost, based off a old game back in the distant past. It called itself a ghost, and such abilities should be recognized. But because of everything of all the things happen, it developed its own personality, allowing it to actually talk, express its own opinions, and even create analysis in a thing which a normal um, drone, which, and then it crossed it out for a second. A normal ghost abilities when a system ghost abilities wouldn't actually be able to do because of certain limitations. And then the very last thing at the very bottom, luck. Because of users' unlimited luck, this system went way over expectations of unit, allowing it to be a lot more effective in every aspect, in every way. Everything here are the base readouts of everything it can be. The ghost, because of your luck and everything you did by instinct, has the ability to grow with set user. Set user is also overpowered, which, because of this drone actually being alive, more being like an AI unit, it does make mistakes. It will do this or that from time to time. Allowing it to grow within yourself allows you to expand over your own limitations and allowing yourself to grow as well. The ghost will now be a part of you for the rest of your life. It has no command over your body to any degree whatsoever. Not even in case of emergencies. It can auto act abilities like shield and stuff, but that is limited to what the user wants or don't want at the moment of and user commands, basically letting the user die or live, yada yada, and it had etc. etc. User also gained information which user should not have in the Undeveloped World Act. But since user is connected to the ghost, it allows it to actually learn certain things that's going on around and about the ancient empire, or what they thought was remnants of the ancient empire, but is only piggybacking off the remnants of the ancient empire, and there's something more sinister going on. To that part, her eyes went, "Don't worry, user is much capable and will keep continuing to grow." And then it has redacted some information the user is not ready to hear yet. So some abilities and stuff that you may have in the future will not pop up until you are mentally and physically ready to hear them. You've been granted a small amount of knowledge until you break each section of the knowledge arrays to allow you to become smarter in knowing what's going on. Keep in mind, this is for your own protection as much as own. So, and then it actually explains why the protections are there to protect you from overusing certain abilities or overusing are not completely understanding the news in her head, which may cause actual problems in the future, like accidentally detonating something like a black hole array that ends up wiping out half the universe, etc., etc. We have found. Uh, do you agree to everything, Nathan? It's like, agreed. Before he even popped up, no, I went ahead and agreed to everything. It's like, as much as I know, and as much as my intelligence has skyrocketed since I've done all this, I know that I am going to need to take things slow to actually develop the knowledge and the know-how to go further within the confines of, or to basically be able to absorb the knowledge like I should, so it ain't actually harmful to myself. So I definitely agree to all terms and conditions. And then all of a sudden, reactivation. Draco running 100%. And then that's when the light finally died back down and the little ball popped off her wrist, started floating around there, and then it was able to take its first sights. Dr. Zay, what's up? Finally good to be able to talk to you. Sarzak, go fuck off. Sarah, how you doing? And then Lunar just slaps herself. She's like, Draco, what the fuck are you doing? It looks back at me and is like, I ain't doing nothing. You do know you're a representation of my own thoughts. And basically, and then she just grunted, stopping what she's saying. Like, reputation of your own. Oh. It's not what you. It's like, Sarah started blushing a lot. It's like, Sarzak just slaps his head on his face. And it's like, Sarah, you need to go and start figuring out what you can do and what you can't do with the ghost. And does that have a cloaking? And then, like, yes, it does. Or it can actually cloak itself in between multiple spectrums where only the user is able to detect it. It's like you go and start talking to people around town for you to actually get used to everything and possibly find out if there's any lingering effects to everything. And he looks at Dr. Zay, go with her because you need to help her understand some of her dragon abilities too, along with Draco. Basically, just walk around town, and if you can find a spot to train for a little bit, go ahead. Me and Sarah needs to have a little conversation right quick between, us both being outer worlders. She's like, alright. And you're not wrong about that. Getting a fine ability on everything is something I do need. And talking with Zarzak over some of the abilities that I may or may not have is actually a good idea too. And we will train a little bit, but we are coming back sooner or later. And he's like, don't get me wrong here. This girl over here is like my sister. Not anything romantic whatsoever, or ever would be. And they both started acting like they were going to puke for even the thought of that. Like, why would I care who or what you do anything with? I know. You burnt that bridge thoroughly. And then she looks at Sarah for a second. You. Never mind. I'm gonna go ahead. Like, the how you doing? Like, I want really actually like to get to know you a little bit better. If you're gonna be sticking around. Her face goes red. He's like, she gets a devilish smile. He's like, who knows? I may or may not stay, even if it's just for information on what we can do to better. She's about to say drone. Seems like ghost. What is that? They are now called Ghost. All of them. Okay. And Draco said he is going to upload some of the data to Revenant data to the servers to help better or worse the droids or the new ghost to come after him and to update the others. Like, thank you. And then it's like, I will see you guys later. And started saying, like, don't do anything I want to do. And then, what are you talking about, old man? Like, not. Zay, don't make me. Zay starts laughing. Finally, something to get you to shut up. And he starts laughing his bellow laugh as walking out the door. Lunar is just covering her head. Idiots. Everybody's an idiot. Well, anyway, I'm gonna go out and train for a little bit and see if I can get a handle on all this new stuff that I'm doing. As soon as they finally left and waited a good 15-20 minutes after they left is when Star's like, alright, I know they're out of the reach of our ears and stuff now, especially since I silently cast a sound barrier around here. Lunar, you do not need to get involved with us. Or not Lunar. Pamps himself on the head. Sarah, you do not need to get involved with us. Why did you just... Long story. But... Why does Lunar hate your guts so much? I've noticed that for a minute or two now. You know more better than anybody who I am. You actually know my past before I became an immortal. Before my soul got linked to the universe. Well, you know, if I would stick around for any length of time with anybody, that I would be there to death do us part. Yes, I do understand that. But what does that have to... I left her not, but yet I stayed on the same world. I broke up with her because I found out who her dad truly is. She's like, why would her dad matter to you of all people? I mean, you literally can't be killed without destroying the universe itself, because you draw your abilities and everything from the universe. So why would you be scared of her dad? Probably the same reason why you were attracted to her the very first time you saw her without truly understanding why. How did you know? I can see it all over your face. Fine. And just to let you know, she grew up in an elven village. There is no sense of gender when it comes to her accepting or not accepting partners. Gender is not a concept that she understands in that realm, because as she was growing up, it's if you had the ability to love somebody, you just loved them, regardless of male, female, beast man, human, elf, or whatever. And a lot of their, even a lot of the marriages, because of how long the elves live for, allow for certain time periods where they experiment and do other things, so the marriages don't go completely stale. Also, knowing when this happens, that they're still completely loyal to their spouse. So in her mind, she just feels everything out the way that anyone should. Something that took you hundreds of years to understand and develop, that if you have feelings or if you can accept somebody for who they are, or in a romantic gist, she will actually be careful with her also on that standpoint too, because she does play the game a little bit too. I mean, she's not exactly Miss Goody Two Shoes, even though she acts like it half the time. But all that to say this, you still should not try to do anything with her, especially her, and especially you or me. But yet again, why would you be afraid of her dad? You have fought, and some of the strongest beings in this universe. Shit, without you, we wouldn't have never defeated the Empire to begin with. Funny enough, because even though that you were the emperor of that empire, and you had no idea what was going on under your nose, but when you found out, you rebelled, left the ground, rebelled, and fought back, allowing us to be leave my past alone. And then after that, you became a vampire hunter because of what they did to your family. I do not need to remember everything about my past. Thank you very much, Sarah. Shooting Sarah you can be hurt still, where I cannot. Think about that for a second. Fine, but anyway, why is, for the third time, Why are you afraid? Her dad's the thunder god. What? Her dad is the thunder god dragon. The lead of the dragons. The one that ended the dragon rule because of its cruelties that they were committing, out making them believe a certain thing. The ones that, with just a flick of her wrist, he could damage the universe itself. The one that can actually travel through from different universes and within this galaxy, and can even go from galaxy to universe to universe. So I wonder why I would not want to. And with our history from him, with you trying to Zeus him every chance that you got, and with her mother trying to kick your ass all the fucking time. But hey, she's her. Yeah. That explains a lot. But still, I still may not actually. I still may actually stick around though. Are you fucking nuts? You would not have stuck around here or stick your neck out even for her. Unless there was a reason. You would not have let her into wherever you was if you didn't. Correction, I did not let her in. Even how weak and stuff she is at the moment, she is not somebody to be trifled with. 2, yes, I still care about her as much as I've always have. Makes everything awkward from time to time. But I would never cross that line with her again. Yes, even if she wasn't with her father or had anything to do with her father. And her own father put a binding curse on her that broke that same day all that happened. He's like, so, yeah, not going to be fucking with that family anytime soon. But I'm also not going to throw her out to the wolves ever. She said, okay, and what does that have? You know a lot more about that family than even I do. And especially because you're my biological sister that was taken by them to help broker peace. She has the potential of being stronger than even her dad and her mom combined because of everything that happened within the past 3 months or less. This is also her home. I am not going to let her home get destroyed, even though I know she's eventually going to leave this place. Her dad, I am afraid for him to find out what she has become himself. You know her dad ain't evil or anything, right? I mean, what type of fucking father would actually put a curse on her so she could live a peaceful life without anybody trying to come and try to nap her, to use her for a battery, or to do experiments on her, knowing anything. Yeah, keep her powerless and happy in a place where she doesn't have to deal with much. I understand why he did what he did. You know how chaotic their lives are. I know for a fact how much they're, but that does not mean that I'm not attracted to her or not, because she is attractive. He snaps his head. It's like, and I also know you are able to control yourself a lot better than anybody else I've ever known. Doing what you had to do what you have to do. So, she was, and then he was like, so, then all of a sudden they realized they've been talking for hours, and all of a sudden the door flopped open, and it was like, holy crap, that's Lunar shaking her head. And that was exhausting. I wonder why. Damn it. Well, I really hope they don't start worshiping you as a god or something over the shit you just pulled. Both of them looked at it, was like, what? She started training her different abilities that she hasn't really used much while we was walking around town, and the different abilities that she could command and use through the system, and allowing her to use some of the abilities to Ghost. Well, put it this way, it got a little chaotic, and she ended up performing for some reason. I told you over and over again, I only performed so I can learn how to control different aspects of the. I understand what you were trying to do, but that shit turned out to be a shit. I know. It's like, was anybody killed? What happened? It's nothing like that. Basically, half the town is starting to worship her like she's some sort of goddess or some crap. And the demons even demons and humans alike, after her performance, not realizing what she accidentally done. She has apparently she has an ability to use this, has ability to use penetrate mind, but not the one that allows people to control their minds, but allows her innermost feelings to actually enter the person unfeathered from, and then she starts performing. By the time she got done performing, people started hooping, and it turned into a big shit show, and they were almost immediately wanting to throw up a statue of her. But she almost left them. Like, really? What? I couldn't help it. But I had him stop. Yeah, I mean, I don't even want to be worshipped. Oh, Lord. Sarah, on the other hand, started laughing her butt off, slapping her knee. It's like, well, did you get any... Actually, I got a lot of training out of the entire ordeal. But tomorrow we need to head out and head to find out more about this darkness in this world. And she looks over to Sarah and is like, "You're coming with us." Like, do what now? Why would I come with? For one, you. I'm pretty sure you want to anyway. She blushed a little bit without realizing it. Two, I think we're going to end up needing your help after all this said and done. And I also have a good feeling that this, even if we eliminate all this from this world, that it's not going to be as what we planned because some of the stuff we found out on our stroll through town. Like, right, both of Sarah and yes, the ability that has Overlord, actually called Overlord Penetration, and gist of it, it penetrates the bullshit to allow the person's innermost feelings to get portrayed to a person without filtering through bullshit. Well, and my ability to scan things got dramatically increased. And we found out some of the humans and some of the demons that was causing the most trouble had a virus in them that we ended up eliminating after we found out about everything else. Found out, and then once we eliminated the virus, is when I started performing, and then combination of the two things actually kind of went haywire, but I fixed it to hopefully. Either way, we need to leave this down tomorrow. But we also got through a lot of people and allowed them to get rid of a lot of hate and stuff that they had for one another. But this virus, what it did was it basically clung to different nervous systems inside somebody's head. Nervous systems. Doctor say looks over and what? You know what? Don't worry about it. I understand that it basically the brain, the nervous, the thing in your head that was having the ability to control different actions, and it had a lot of suggestions, not controlling the person, but it actually suggested a person into doing, bringing up hate, which it fed a lot on its hate stuff. And the chemicals produced when it comes to hate, anger, sadness, and all that, it started feeding on the negative emotions of a set person. Once eliminated, it freed the person from its grasp, and the person never knew before or after what happened while they were under the influence, other than they're just feeling a lot of anger. And we think that there's a good chance that only a certain number of the population is even can get infected with this. Hence why they haven't infected people. But either way, we need to figure out what's going on and stop all this before it turns out to be way bigger than what one world can actually handle. This is a borderline town in the middle of nowhere, and they got their hooks into some of these people. What do you think is happening between the direct borderlines between countries? What do you think is going to happen when because I have a high suspicion once it gets grown, it starts taking control over it like a plague. Sarzak's face almost went pale. I've seen something like this before, but we never knew what it was. It's because, from what the system is saying, from what Draco is saying, sorry, Draco, from what Draco is saying, and its description of it, it's actually a technology and magical based type virus, and because of me having to upgrade and all the things that's happened to upgrade my system, Draco was only able to pinpoint it then because it had a not directly similar, but a vague similar to what he was, or what some of the things that made possible by him. No, that ain't the right word. Think of it as more like, because of what he is, and he is both magical, he is able to detect it because it's under the same wavelength that what he is now, where something magical wouldn't be able to detect it because then the technological part was able to shield it, and then vice versa. Like, that does make a lot of sense. And we uploaded the information to be able to detect such energy directly to the and send it out to whoever is in charge of the systems with a that needed to be studied to your superior, Sarah. But the reason why I say we're all going is because we also need your help to figure out if we can find a different way to battle set stuff, and to figure out as much as you can learn about what's going on in this place might be able to help you on anyway. And another thing is, I actually kind of want to get to know you a little bit better anyway, because you seem like you might be a little bit interesting of a person, and even on a smart perspective, somebody I can actually learn a lot from about worlds and about even myself in some ways, that more than likely, because of what's going on right now, I'm going to be fighting for a lot more than just this world. She's like, how the hell did you? And looks over, it's like, in her head, she's like, the hell did this fucker actually? And before she even completed her Sarsak said, yep, I knew exactly what was going to happen. Well, you do know who I am, Sarsak, more than most people. So, no doubt that you figured out what I'd do after I got the information. He smirked a little bit. If onlys, if onlys. Lunar, without batting an eye, ended up picking up a fork out of her backpack and threw it at Sarzak's head, sticking right there in the middle, and then shocked him with a little shock spell as she rolled laughing her butt off, and Sarzak kind of zapped on the floor. It's like, why? Like, if he... And then, before Sarah could actually say anything, it was a little bit like, what the fuck? If he wasn't immortal, I wouldn't have done that. And trust me, he deserves it. But in the morning, we all do need to go and start more on investigation and try to also stop them. As many of these tragedies as we possibly can. Because one thing that can actually spread like wildfire is hate. And it's really easy, especially for humans, to hate anything and everything that is different from them. I don't understand it myself, but I also grew up in a different world, which grew up in a place where everybody, even there, the fact that even I got as powerful as I was, fear is a common denominator between all this stuff and two. So let's get some rest. Boys, go over there into that room. Us girls will go over here and take this room. Sarah's like, together? He's like, she was like, hey, I haven't really gotten to talk to many people outside that like regular humans. That was outside of the norm. I need to swap like stories and stuff. You know what I mean? Like, oh, okay. And if we get bored after that, who knows? Right after she said that, Sarah looked like, what? Oh. Sarah shut up for a second and then looked at everybody. Alright, we're all going to bed now. And this is where I am cutting this part of the story. It's already been an hour and 20 minutes, and it's mainly been a lore dump. On the next part of the story, we'll start exploring a lot more of what's going on. We're going to have some classic dungeon crawling in the future. We're going to have some more classic stuff of all kinds and in the near future. So keep in tune. If you want to continue this story early, I have a redeem over there on Twitch TV under Thunder_Drummer. You can redeem it there, or you can request it after giving the sub. Well, see you next time. Hope everybody has a good day, and make sure to check out my friend's music. It's Over Encumbered, and it's the one that looks just like that. Is the logo. See you next time. Peace out.